Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is Christopher Moonlight, and today I want to talk about design. More importantly, how design is crucial to telling a good story. I've thought about this a lot, and usually I hear people say the first thing you have to get right to make a good movie, comic book, television show, piece of music, novel, whatever your medium, is the story. But I actually think there's one little thing that comes before that if you haven't decided on, you're going to have a very hard time telling your story in a compelling way. And that is the design, or more specifically, the medium. So, how can I elaborate on that a little bit? So, there is an old saying, and of course, at this point in time, I'm forgetting who said it, but it's the medium is the message. It's the idea that nothing you can say within a given medium will be as impactful as the creation of the medium itself. So the big example, I believe, for that was the telephone. Nothing you can say on the telephone will be as impactful as what the creation, the invention of the telephone did for our society. Now, I guess, I don't know, maybe that's arguable. Of course, people are going to say some pretty interesting things over the telephone, and the fact of the matter is that that message is always going to be catered to the medium of the telephone. If you're talking on the phone with someone, they can't see you, so obviously whatever message you deliver is going to be it's going to be thought about, in the sense that how you get your message across is contingent on what the delivery method of the telephone does in the transfer of that information, if that makes sense. So, of course, what does this have to do with telling your story? Well, it's the same thing with any medium. I mean, I'm talking to you right now through my cell phone on YouTube, or maybe you're watching this on another platform. Sometimes I remember to upload to other platforms. But as a result, a YouTuber is a new kind of storyteller, and you see them in varying forms every single day. Some of them take you on the journey of their life, or something that they're creating, or some experiment, or just their thoughts on what's going on with the world around them. And we have the independent news sources now, which are the YouTubers who have decided to not just trust what they see on television or hear on the radio, but to investigate themselves and then bring to you what they've discovered, and let you decide, and even comment down below on what your feelings are on whatever given subject they're talking about or addressing. Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Do you have additional information that you can give to them that they can then consider and then reevaluate what they're going to do on their next video? It's essentially a new medium. Video on demand is a new medium, even though it's very similar to television and similar to movies. It is contingent on these new ideas. I've talked about this in my previous video called Hollywood is Dead and Movies as We Know Them Are No More, which kind of applies to this here. Of course, like I said in that video, movies are still going to happen, but now we have video on demand. We might get something like Killers of the Flower Moon, which is obviously shot in a format that could be serialized on a video on demand platform, rather than be a 3.5 hour long movie experience that might seem like it could have been cut down. Decisions are made based on, again, the medium. How are you going to tell your story in a way that is most compelling to the medium that you're telling it in? So I really want to urge people, this is what I mean by designing. I really want to urge people to think about, what medium are you going to tell your story in before you tell it. Now, this is something, I think I've touched on this before in other videos. I think I did one about something to the effect of, so you want to turn your movie script into a comic book. Well, that's kind of, again, what I'm talking about here. What is the medium you're telling your story in? How do you have to tailor your message to make sure that that medium maximizes what you want to say to an audience? Maybe you're choosing the wrong medium. Examples that I'll give are, I love the stop motion animated movie Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm going to talk a lot about animation in this particularly because I love animation. It does kind of cross over into VFX, and I've done a lot of that. But essentially, could you imagine Nightmare Before Christmas presented to an audience as a Pixar movie? Do you think it would have the same mood? Do you think that the story would play out the same, that the achievements, the technical, artistic achievements would be applied in the same way? No, the story would change. I mean, when you see what they did with things in that movie like The Melting Man or Oogie Boogie, when his sackcloth skin is ripped off of him and there's like thousands of bugs underneath, it was super amazing stop motion flex. And I guess that's kind of what we're doing when we're choosing the medium. How can we flex this medium in a way that engages the audience and gets our story across in interesting ways that otherwise we wouldn't bother with? So another example is, I'm a huge fan of Samurai Jack, the animation style of Genndy Tartakovsky. This is a man who loves animation, and he writes his stories because he wants to do certain things in animation that he really enjoys seeing, that he loves, and he wants to present them in a way to you that expresses his love of animation and gets you to be impressed and love animation in the same way. So his stories tailor to that. You know, if you are writing a play, obviously when you're doing a play, let's see, the family and I, we went to see Hamilton. We don't get out much. I think this is already a couple of years ago. But we went to see Hamilton. And of course, being that it's all performed live right there on stage, there's no edits, there's no cuts, there's no way you can do visual effects to mask out things or enhance things. They had to write that play, or he, Lin-Manuel Miranda, I think, had to write that play in a way that utilized the stage and what you could do on the stage. He wanted to slow down time and show the thoughts of someone as a bullet races from one end of the stage to the other. So what did he do? He actually had an actor pretend to be holding the bullet and walking it across the stage. It's kind of a reimagining, a theatrical reimagining of bullet time from The Matrix. But it worked. It told the story. And it was quite fun and remarkable. You know, when you watch a play, you see people coming in and out, taking away set pieces. Like, they're just not going to hide it. They know you understand it's a play, and they know there's no way that they can bring in set pieces and props and take them away without you seeing it. So they just roll with it, and they write and block the play in that manner. Again, going back to comic books. I was recently working with a friend who loves comic books and he loves animation, and he started to show me his layouts for his comic book pages. And it was something like 8 pages of one fight scene that was kind of really well done as storyboards, but essentially it was all this information spread out amongst all these pages that wasn't taking advantage of the medium, where he really could have done everything he wanted to do in terms of getting the information across to the audience in 1 or 2 pages, and then had a lot more real estate within his first issue to express other ideas, to move the audience along to other parts of the story. And of course, a savvy comic book artist who intuitively understands what they love about the medium, even if they don't know the technical ins and outs of how the storytelling process works, can feel that. You can feel when somebody is trying to cram their screenplay into a comic book, and I've talked about this on live streams with Alterna Comics Peter Samedi on the YouTube channel as well. By the way, you should like this video and subscribe and leave me a comment and watch other videos and share this. Because I feel like I've got a lot of great information from a lot of great creators, whether it be comic book creators, movie creators. You really enjoy the channel because we talk about all this stuff all the time, including things like, you know, the business of creating things and the economics of it, which is also important to understand. But anyway, you know, Peter Samedi was saying to me that he saw comic book scripts that were actually movie scripts, and he could tell because nothing was happening that took advantage of the medium. It was just screenplay stuff playing out. It was paced like a screenplay. The dialogue was written for a screenplay. You know, the dialogue choices were what you'd see in a screenplay and not what you'd see for word balloons. So word balloons would be cluttering up the page, and it'd be a lot of people standing around and not doing things that the comic book pages really free them up to do, because there's no budget constraints for what you want to draw. It's just contingent on the talent and time you want to put in as an artist, or that you want to give to an artist and negotiate with them how much their time and talent is worth to draw all that stuff. But, you know, it's people standing around because they want to be able to hand the comic over to some people and say, like, look, and it's like less locations and less special effects, so it won't cost you that much money. It's just a pitch for Netflix or something like that. It's fine to make a pitch for Netflix. Just don't publish it as a comic and expect comic book fans to embrace it, because they want what the medium of comic books can deliver in a story. If you can't understand what that is, then don't do it, because you're only going to end up alienating the core comic book fans and not really interesting anybody in your story, whether they're a comic book fan or not. It's going to poison. It's going to do the exact opposite of what you're hoping it'll do. It'll poison your chances of developing it into a movie. You know, it's better to just use AI to create a package for your movie. And what was it? Recently came out that What If The Force Awakens was awesome, where somebody used AI to do a montage essentially of his entire vision of what he thought the Disney trilogy should be, and he put it on YouTube for free for people to watch and got a great response. The tools are out, and again, AI, another medium. And you see my YouTube channel, you know that I am not anti-AI at all, and I think there's a lot of hyperbole around people who are against it simply based on misinformation or the fact that they're afraid of a new medium that is entering the market and they have to compete with. Sorry, sometimes new things enter the market and you have to adjust. That's just life. But yeah, but honestly, it's this, I can't stress this enough. You have to understand the medium you're working in, and you have to understand how that medium works, because you are designing your story before you're writing your story. You're figuring out how each medium is designed in a way that works, that you can then apply your story ideas to and really get the medium to flex and shine and sparkle in a way that captures your audience's imagination. Again, Nightmare Before Christmas couldn't be anything other than stop motion animation. Alan Moore wrote The Watchmen, and even though they made it into a movie that I thought was pretty good, it really is a story that was written for the medium of comic books, and it was fantastic. I'll also say, everyone knows The Watchmen. Go check out, if you're interested in good comic books, go check out World's Finest, Batman and Superman Team Up, written by Dave Gibbons, who is the artist of The Watchmen, and illustrated by Steve Rude, who is a mad genius of an artist. When I say mad, he's Seems pretty crazy, actually. But anyway, it is a masterpiece and one of my favorite comic books of all time. I think I like it even more than The Watchmen. But that's a debate for another day in terms of comic books. What else? Again, Phantom of the Opera, even though I loved watching Hamilton, it wasn't my favorite play. I think Phantom of the Opera, it's been a silent film, it's been a novel, but the blocking on the name of the person who brought Phantom of the Opera to the stage. He's only like a huge musical genius in terms of creating plays, Cats. It was it. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's on the tip of my tongue. I feel like it's a three name, like Lin-Manuel Miranda. It's there. It's a 3-name guy. Anyway, leave it in the comments if you know who I'm talking about. But Phantom of the Opera really achieved something magical by becoming a stage musical. Every time I've seen it, it's brought a wellspring of emotion up in me and brought me to tears. It's beautiful. Star Wars, the original Star Wars, a masterpiece of practical effects and optical effects. It wowed the world, and honestly, like, movie wise, I think it's George Lucas's world. We just live in it. But yeah, think about the medium, because when you tell your story, it's not just about writing a good script. It's understanding how you're going to design your story for the medium that you're telling it in. Anyway, what am I at here? 17 minutes. I think that's enough. Again, my name is Christopher Moonlight. If you enjoyed this video, if you agree with it, disagree with it, like it, share it, subscribe, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. I'm going to drink the rest of this coffee now. Have a good one, everyone.